Hey guys, welcome back to another episode prediction of season number 2 Cobra Kai, you guys. Okay, today we want to talk about Daniel and kind of the dynamics in his family too, because I think it's kind of interesting to see what's happening in his family dynamic and how that might play out in season 2. So let's start with Daniel. And I'll be honest with you guys, in season 1, probably the first 6 or 7 episodes, I just wasn't a fan of Daniel. I'm going to tell you why. What I think about his character and why this might play out in season 2 is the truth is that he became successful. There's nothing wrong with that. You became successful, you worked your butt off, you have this dealership, and everything in life is working for you. You're living up to the dream that you created for yourself, which is amazing. That's what we want for everybody, right? The problem is that it can change you sometimes. And what I saw in Daniel is that it did change him. It changed the way that he saw life. It's changed the way that he is living kind of in a bubble, which is that everything is great, everything is good. And then you have Cobra Kai step back in and kind of burst that bubble. And what happened is we saw kind of a different side of Daniel. And I think this is where I had the conflict with him, is that Daniel, to me, has always been the underdog. He never had it easy. He fought and dug out of holes, and he found his way through all of the nonsense that was thrown at him and all the hardships. And I respect that. I respect the underdogs. And so I saw that the lack of hunger is kind of what happened to him in life. He just got comfortable, and hey, he's enjoying the fruits of his labor, but it changed him. And so when I saw that family dynamic, you can see how it kind of even affected his kids. You can see how he's raising his kids, with the son is kind of like a brat and a little turd that always wants what he wants, talks back to him. And I will tell you, I struggled in life to get to where I'm at and finally find success and all that stuff. And it's very easy to make life easy for our children. And then you see what happens. And Daniel's son, I forgot what his name is a perfect example when you allow your children to kind of be spoon-fed and they don't have to work hard. They don't know what it's like to really fight for what you want in life. They just expect it to happen to them. And hey, that's kind of what happens. You see a perfect example. But what I like about his daughter Samantha is I think he got to her earlier and through karate and taught her about disciplines and all that. So she really has a good head on her shoulder. She's really smart and she can kick some ass, which is pretty cool. You saw kind of moments of that in season 1. But the one that I really like was his wife. She's like the most grounded one out of all of them. Despite all of the luxuries or whatever, she's got a good head on her shoulders and she's pretty grounded. So it was funny to watch that family dynamic where you have Daniel, where he's living on, in the moon. The wife is grounded, one of his children is grounded, the other one is like just a train wreck. And so it's kind of cool to see that. But how is that going to play out? So let me tell you what I think is going to happen in season 2 when it comes to Daniel. Daniel, I think, is getting back to the old Daniel, and I think, which is cool, I think he's getting back to a place where he had a great relationship with Mr. Miyagi, and it was about discipline, and it was about doing the right thing, and it was about helping people. And I think his dojo is going to teach that side of karate, which is, such a beautiful part of karate. But I think because of that, it's going to cause some conflict because now Robbie is one of his students. And we all know Robbie is the son of Johnny, right? So by default, there's going to be a conflict between him and Johnny, Daniel and Johnny, just by default because his son is training with him. But I think there's something else going on here. I think there is going to be a shift in Daniel's life where the dealership and all that is going to kind of step to the side as he builds a dojo and he starts to have students and start to embrace that part of his life, and it becomes a bigger part of his life. I think there's going to be some conflicts with that, not only between him and his wife, where I think his wife is going to be supportive in the beginning, and then it's going to cause issues as maybe their family business may start to sway a little bit until he can shift it into a family business around the dojo and all that. So I think there's going to be some life issues and life challenges as he's shifting focuses, because you can't do both. Like, it just doesn't work that way. You can't put your passion into two separate things. So one of them's going to have to give, right? The last thing that I think is going to happen around Daniel and his family is with Samantha. So what's really cool is you see at the very end that she's kind of ignited that passion, right? So I think she is going to become another student and participate in All Valley next year, which is cool. The thing that I think is going to bring some interesting layers to it is that I think that her and Robbie are going to have some type of relationship in this, which is only going to stir the pot between Miguel and Robbie, and Miguel and her as well. So I think that all of these things are going to lead to something interesting that's going to happen, and I think that's going to become that there's a fracture that's happening within that household right now. You can see it, like it's kind of like a house divided, and I think there's going to come a point where he's going to have to find the balance, not only with the dojo, but within his own family. And so I think that's, any of you guys that have children can relate to that, where, you know, there's a lot of stress in life, there's a lot of stress with raising children, and when there's a fracture in it, it only leads to more conflict and more frustrations. And I think at some point the fracture is going to cause tension between Daniel and his wife. And I think that's going to come by naturally the things that are shifting in his life. And because you got to remember, his wife doesn't know this Daniel, doesn't know the Daniel from before, doesn't know the Daniel that's dealing with all this conflict and anger. She doesn't know that. So at some point, this is going to cause an absolute tension between them. And, you know, I know that I'm sure they'll work through it, but I think it's going to be woven into the storyline that tension and conflict is very, very real. And as things start to happen, and I really, truly think that his family will be targeted with the introduction of like the Mike Barnes and all these other people. This family is going to be singled out and targeted, and including his daughter Samantha, and obviously Robbie as well. So those things are going to be brought to Daniel's wife's doorstep, and she's not accustomed to that kind of conflict and kind of tension. And so I'm sure it's going to cause some type of issues inside that family and inside the Larusso home. So tell me what you guys think. And these are just observations from looking at the family dynamics, looking at season 1, and just guessing that these things will continue to materialize into season 2 and cause a lot of friction and a lot of tension. So tell me what you think. Leave your comments below. I appreciate you guys listening in to season 2 predictions. Tell me what you guys think, and hopefully I can respond to that. Hopefully I can incorporate that into the other videos. So stay tuned, you guys. Season 2, I'm sure, is going to be amazing. Stay tuned. I appreciate it. Love you guys. Appreciate the feedback and all the love. Stay tuned. We'll see you in the next episode.